It's the track that can make a championship run. It's the track that can destroy a championship run. And for 42 of One-Up's finest truck drivers, they take it on for 38 laps once a year here in this series. It's none other than Talladega. It's the One-Up Turbo Truck Series playoffs at Talladega Superspeedway. And alongside me in the booth to bring you all the action for today's race is the voice of the Turbo Truck Series, Ryan Griffin. This is a big one for the drivers because you know that one slight mistake can send your championship hopes tumbling down the tubes.
Anything can happen when it comes to this track. It says, as the history of this track goes, it's anything can and will usually happen here. And given the change we saw in the championship fight last race out, now we come here. We're very easily, this track is known for the big wreck, or the big incident, or the big one as it's known. Pretty much, I think everybody universally knows that term. And one incident like that, if you get a couple championship contenders involved, could turn this championship right around. And, you know, at the end of the day, if you're one of these title contenders, it's just a matter of you want to survive at the end of the day. Ideally, you want to be the one holding the trophy at the end of the day. But if you survive and get a good finish here, you could put yourself in good standing looking toward the finale and putting yourself in a position to have a shot at a championship, more of a shot than what you currently do.
And looking at those points right now, it's a very tight battle at the top. It's basically a two-horse race. Of course, that could very well change after today's race. But AF Walsh takes the points lead from Paul Villalobos after his big win at Michigan last time out. He has a 1-point advantage over the Venezuelan driver. Curtis Stevenson, Santi Messi, a further 19 points off the lead. And DJ Curtis lurking back there, 26 points out of the lead. You just can never count the 22 out of any scenario. Will we see something similar today? But keeping an eye on the rest of the top 10, the entire field is still within 64 points, which is still a goal that can be overcome, a gap that can be overcome, but you're going to have to start now if you're going to make up a gap like Whitmer could, like Wells could. You're going to have to start that comeback now.
Absolutely. Talladega as much can put you out of a position to win the championship as much as it can put you in a position, or it can put you in a position to lose the championship as much as it can put you in a position to win the championship. So guys that may have had a rough outing last week, if you come in and have a good run here, it can put you right back into it if your opponents have problems. So we talk about this being as much about, you know, trying to avoid incidents, but you also want to try to capitalize if you can. And, you know, depending on which way it falls, we could see a different picture at the end of the day. It might be the same picture, but it might not be. And that's the beauty and the fun of coming to the unpredictability that is Talladega.
And with that being said, we can now bring you the starting lineup for today's 38 laps of action at Talladega, and it's a first pole of 2025 for Blaine Saylor in the 08 machine for Team Duke. He's got Ludovic Charette alongside him, a non-playoff driver. But behind him, Paul Villalobos in that 66, looking for redemption after a missed opportunity at Michigan. And he's got his teammate right behind him in 5th, Curtis Stevenson. If those two Robbers teammates can work together in the draft for much of the day, I would be very surprised that those two aren't in contention for the majority of the afternoon.
And we also are going to have to watch the Michigan winner. AF Walsh starts 11th. And, you know, you can't count out of the guys that are non-championship guys. Derek Hamill won at Daytona earlier this year. You know, first race of the year, Superspeedway. He starts 7th, so we'll have to keep an eye on him as well. We got also a couple championship contenders starting deep in the field, like Santi Messi starts 32nd. He's only 20 points out of the lead, tied right now with Stevenson for 3rd. Although it looks like Stevenson has the tiebreaker. And keep an eye on these guys trying to come from the back, too. You know, you don't want to get caught up in something, but you also don't want to be in the back for too long. So we'll have to see who can work their way through the field, who can work the draft the best.
And with that being said, we have 42 drivers ready to take on the beast that is Talladega. We are ready to bring in all the action now. It's the One-Up Turbo Truck Series playoffs from Talladega, and the green flag getting set to go. We can't wait to see what action unfolds over the next 38 laps here in Talladega. Getting set for something big here at Talladega, it is Blaine Saylor on pole position for the first time in his career. Ludovic Charette alongside him. The field rolls its way through the tri-oval. Remember how far away the start-finish line is from this point. It might come in handy later on. Into the restart zone we go. The green flag is out, and for 38 laps we're racing at Talladega. The field already starting to fan out further back in the field, but actually it's the 31 of Charette that gets to the starting line first to lead the charge into turn 1.
See all day. We'll see them, two side by side, sometimes 3 wide, and maybe even a little 4 wide at some point. There's a lot of room to run on this racetrack, so there's plenty of room for them to spread out 3 and 4 wide, and room enough even for 5 wide. Granted, it's not necessarily recommended, but you may see it too. As already I mentioned about them being almost 4 wide, and they are going to be 4 wide into turn 3 with the Michigan winner, Walsh on the inside, Curtis's teammate in that second lane. And man, they're already, look at this already, just not even completing the first lap, and it looks like Saylor will lead the first lap with Daytona winner Hamill on his rear bumper.
And that is a very important bonus point for Blaine Saylor to pick up, because he entered this race 41 points below out of the points lead, so he really needs to get a move on if he's going to keep his hopes for a title alive. Walsh, though, he would love to lead a lap here, pick up a bonus point for his efforts, because he only entered this race a single point ahead of Paul Villalobos, and that 66, I noticed, starting to fall back a little bit in that third lane.
And Walsh started 11th, too, so he made a nice little charge up there. Granted, I mentioned they were 4 wide, and there's still 4 wide back there. I can see that back there just a little bit, and you mentioned the 66 falling back. It could be by design, too. A lot of guys I've noticed here sometimes there's a strat of peeling off kind of the back of the pack and trying to get out of the chaos a little bit, but you never know, and you want to try to get a lap led if you can early on, and that's exactly what Saylor is trying to do up front, trying to lead as many of these laps as he can, especially on this style of track.
Oh, we got a big one further back in the pack. Multiple trucks up in the air through turns 1 and 2. Oh, and the 66!
Yeah, 66 went airborne.
Villalobos!
I thought I saw his back end in the air, and I was not quite sure if it was his truck, but that's huge. That is big championship implications.
And remember, his only other DNF this season came at Daytona, so the Superspeedways have not been kind to Paul Villalobos this season. The rest of the field races back to the caution flag. It should be Blaine Saylor out in the lead, but you have the 99, Kudyashov, involved in it. Eugen Stoyan started 4th in this race. He gets involved in it.
It looked like Turner was involved as well, too, the 17.
Nick Breeding in the 66 involved as well. 56,
at least 4 or 5 trucks involved in turn 1, and I wonder if it was. I mentioned earlier that they were 4 wide. I wonder if that 4 wide had something to do with it. And I just got mentioning about how this track, we mentioned it in the pre-race, how big the championship implications. Now, this truck was in the air. I'm almost positive, we'll see a replay, but I believe this truck was airborne at one point. And
what he's trying to do is he's trying to cycle a lap so that he can complete another lap ahead of all these guys pulling out of the race immediately, like Nick Breeding, who makes his first truck start in a while at least. Jesse Turner, tough break for him. He started this race in 8th. Eugen Stoyan started 4th. They're both likely to be out of this race as well. But I think what Villalobos is trying to do, he's just trying to get as many points as he can. Cycling an extra lap will do that.
That is true, but if by some miracle that truck continues, I will be amazed at that 66 team, because we'll get a replay here in a second, but I think we both saw it that 66 was airborne. So if that truck continues on, I mean, that would be big. Well, not only obviously the implications of what's going on here, but
yeah, I think he is pulling in now, and he's probably going to call it a day here. That there is a lot of damage on the Epson Chevrolet for Paul Villalobos, and this is a really big change. Like I said, he only has 1 DNF prior to today this season, and it was at our other Superspeedway race at Daytona. So this kind of racing has not been kind to the 66 team, and this is really going to implicate huge ramifications in the championship fight.
And, well, we've said it before when it comes to Talladega. We said it in the pre-race, one incident here can change a championship, and I think we might have just seen one here with the 66 team.
And And that's his race over for Paul Villalobos. A big shakeup in the championship today, as we're going to definitely get you a replay of what unfolded here to put us under this first caution of the day on just the third lap of the race. We'll get you those angles as soon as they're available to us. You were right, it was the dreaded 4-wide situation. I think, yeah, they were almost 5 wide with that 5 truck. Oh, and he moves the 99 up the track. Oh my goodness, the 66 up into the catch fence with that one, and then Stoyan riding along on the hood of Villalobos' truck.
God, I am amazed the 66 truck drove away after that, though, because that thing was in against the catch fence, and he was able to drive that thing away. I am amazed by that.
Shows the resiliency of these teams that are fighting so hard for all the glory. You feel for Nick Breeding as well, his first race with his own team, and he's backed it into the fence as well. Lee Muse in the 16 looks like he got a piece of it. Alex Sanvital maybe as well. A lot of good trucks involved early that will not see the finish of this one.
Exactly as I was saying, you get 4 wide, in this case it looks like they tried to force 5 wide there with the 99, just kind of got squeezed with the 5 on the inside and just shot back into traffic, and both the 51 and the 66 take a wild ride here.
Yeah, that's one of the scarier incidents we've seen at Talladega in recent years, but thankfully everybody in this accident seemingly is okay after that hellacious hit into the outside wall and the catch fence for good measure. It's just an unfortunate circumstance when these guys are going for it, and they just went for it a little too hard this time.
It's like, yeah, you can run 3 and 4 wide. There's enough room to run 3 and 4 wide on this track, and I think, honestly, even 6 wide if you're brave enough. But, when they start squeezing together, and that's kind of what happened there, is the truck on the inside kind of squeezed a little bit. They came together, and it was just on from there. Great example of just, you can be doing everything right. In that case, the 66, Paul was just doing everything. He was doing what he wanted to do, which was kind of, I think, Paul, he fall to the back of the pack and just kind of trail along with the pack as he needed to, and unfortunately he got caught up in that incident.
And now AF Walsh in that 0-2, he needs to capitalize on this. He needs to have a really good day to pull himself further ahead in the championship hunt, with tracks like North Wilkesboro coming up next. We haven't seen what he can do on the short tracks yet, AF Walsh, but he really needs a good day either here today at North Wilkesboro next time out, or both, to try and pad his lead over to 66, because we know Villalobos will not finish this race.
Just needs a decent run here in this race. So.
Yeah, the good news is we've got the 1-to-go signal now. We'll be going back racing on lap number 7 after a little repair work was made to the catch fencing in turn 2. But Blaine Saylor, critically, has led every lap of this race so far, which is pretty important for him in his championship bid. Brandon Beal in the 24. We haven't talked about him much since he came down to the Truck Series, but he is now running in 2nd position. Reggie Fogelman in the 0 runs 3rd. Johnny DiLorenzo 4th. Samantha Jade rounding out the top 5. This is what I like about Talladega. We get to talk about people we wouldn't normally get to, because this is such a big equalizer here.
Yeah, you might see some more surprises before the end of this race too, as far as guys that work their way up there, because as I stated, when you come to Talladega, there really is 2 strats that I see usually played. One is you got the strat of, in the case of Blaine Saylor, you start up front, you kind of try to ride up front, lead the laps, lead as many laps as you can, lead the most laps if you can, and try to be up front all day. Well, and then you also have the strategy, which I'm assuming the 66 started to do once they realized they were falling back out of the leaders, was to try to fall back and hang at the back of the pack. Just hang on to the back of the pack. Don't lose the pack, obviously, but kind of hang back there. Let chaos or whatever happen in front of you and weave your way through it and survive that way. So evidently right now we're seeing the strat that seemed to work, at least so far in this race, is the strat of this 08 team right now here out front.
So 4 trucks out of the race as a result of that crash. Denis Kaduyashov did rejoin the race. He is a lap down. We'll keep an eye on him, see if he can maintain minimum speed or not. But the field rolls into the restart zone with Blaine Saylor out in the lead of this race. Field already starting to fan out once again. That means we're under green once more.
I would expect, and the crazy thing is people, anybody that just never watched racing will look at this and say, why are these guys going to go 3 and 4 wide again just after they just had an accident? That's the mindset of racing, and you'll see it here. I guarantee it won't be long before we get back to the 3 wide again and double file, and they'll start fanning out again. And as they fan out on the backstretch, it's here we go again.
And look at this run by the 95, Wyatt Wilkinson, in that DoorDash machine. They had a really strong run at Michigan last time out. I believe it was a top 5 finish for the 95, and they're on pace to have another top 10 day here at Talladega as they run right now. So massive upturn in form for that one racing team, and they're running pretty solidly. But up at the front, it's Reggie Fogelman looking to take the lead for the first time today.
Said earlier about it's never really a concern about starting at the back here when it comes to Talladega. Fogelman started 24th on the day, and on lap 8 he's leading the race. So that shows you just how easy it is. You can, if your truck is handling right, how good you can work through a pack and get to the front here.
Case in point, Vince Freeze started this race in 35th. He's now running in second position as, Kudryashov, Lee Muse, and the 16 there are probably going to fall out of this race by way of the officials black flagging them, because they're not going to be able to keep up with the pack, because we've already seen that demonstrated in full force today. But Darren Mills now pushing to 0. He pulls down in front of Alexander Rowe to try and control both lanes at the same time. Fogelman now solidly in command of this race.
Yeah, I'm looking to see some of the names. How about the one behind Rowe? Johnny DiLorenzo started 38th. He's running second. It's just mind-boggling how it really does not matter where you start on a track like this, because 9 laps into the race, the guy that started 38th is battling for the lead. So it's just mind-boggling when you actually see it play out.
So the 16 and the 99 have been black flagged for minimum speed. Their races are over. But how about this? Alexander Rowe, with help from DiLorenzo, like you said, he's now taken the lead for the first time today. And Justin Whitmer, the highest running playoff driver in the 91. He entered this race 64 points below the lead, and now he's looking for a good day. And Stephen Myers in this 54. He started this race in 10th. That's a great day for the 54 team, and he's racing in the top 5 for probably the first time in his career.
I was going to say, Whitmer is not alone. I see the 6 of Stevenson and the 22 of Curtis.
And Messi.
And also the 3 of Messi. Messi, who was the furthest starting back of the playoff guys, is now in the mix as well. So, again, that issue with the 66 get caught up in that wreck. Look at these playoff guys that have suddenly like, okay, it's time to turn it up now, and here they are.
One name you don't see up in the front of this pack, though, is that 02 of AF Walsh. I think he's employing that strategy that the 66 was trying to do, at least partially, because you see him right behind Saylor in the 08. They're about mid-pack right now. I think they're trying to make their way back to the front, but I'm telling you, that 02, he has got to keep a clean truck today, because if he does not, then Villalobos' accident could be relatively minor in the implications for the title.
Yeah, this is a big opportunity. Well, not just for Walsh, but this is a big opportunity for some of these other guys who were, as we stated, a good gap behind the leaders in the point standings. You got one of your top guys is out of the race early. You keep your nose clean, you can get a big amount of points on them today, and this is what these guys want to do. You want to have a good run and stay clean as well, as they're 4 wide behind Walsh there. And we saw how it went wrong earlier. Keep an eye on this, and hopefully we can get out of this without another incident, guys.
Yeah, it looks like they're trying to settle it out amongst themselves. I think, is that Charette, maybe, and Vince Freeze still side by side further back in the field.
And up front, I hate to interrupt you, but up front, how about Francois Chastain, the 1 truck?
He's not going to hold it for very long, though, because look, Cal Farrell is pushing his way up, and so is Jeremy Rogers in the 55. So it's the ever-present shuffle here at Talladega, where you can stay up front for a little while, but it's going to take a really good truck to hang in there all race long.
And if these guys just continue it, but the thing is, there really isn't one line that's. It appears usually that the inside is where it cycles. The inside gets the surge. Someone will get the lead, then cycle back up. But usually, you could really be leading this thing from anywhere at this point and be charging anywhere from this point. So it's just amazing to watch it happen, and it's great to see it play out in front of you, you know?
on that inside line right now, I think these two are probably the best trucks we've seen all day so far. The 08 and the 0. Fogelman and Saylor. These two have been putting on an excellent performance, and now they're side by side for the lead. Fogelman was getting help from his Lightning Supersport teammate Mitchell Carter, but Carter now in the 4 gets moved up to the outside. He's got to help the 08 now, and look at the run on the inside from the 93. Jeremy Frey now making a move up into second place.
Jeremy Frey's up there, the 38. I mean, the ever cycle continues, and we're starting again, as you said, seeing names we don't normally see at the front of the field in races start to make their names known. Take the opportunity.
Absolutely. This is what we love about Talladega. What I'm not loving right now is this 4-wide situation with Grigsby, Hamill, Alexander Rowe, Brendan Beal. They're all in a line together, or in a column of cars together, trying to find a way to settle it out. Beal might try and slot in between the 61 and the 95, if that gap even remains for much longer. But this is getting a bit nerve-wracking, for me at least.
Now you see, this is where you can run 4 wide, there's enough room. But what makes you nervous, and I understand the nerves here, is how close those two Dodges, and somebody's just dropped below there. I think that's a 5.
Yeah, that's Zach Fry in the 5.
He
had an issue. He's having an issue. Looks like a tire's going down on that 5 truck, and he is very slow down the back going into the 3rd and 4th corners. This is a... Oh, we got another wreck further back in the pack. I think the 43 is involved. The 11, William Ayers, is involved. And Wyatt Wilkinson...
I think Walsh may have gotten a piece of it. I don't know if he got through it, but there may have been contact between Walsh and maybe the 11. I seen the 02 truck slide a little bit, but I don't know if there was contact between him and the 11.
Yeah, and I think the 11 of Ayers has the worst contact of the bunch, but that is going to be our second caution of the day. Reggie Fogelman leads the field by 5/1000ths of a second at the line over Josh Gibson in the 58, who, by the way, started this race in last. But we've got our second caution of the afternoon, and this is a big benefit, actually, for Zach Fry. He's going to stay on the lead lap as a result of this caution flag.
Big break for him is we'll try to maybe see what happens. Maybe a little contact there under the stack up there as they came back to stop behind the pace car.
Yeah, they're just trying to sort out who was running where at the moment of caution. Another thing this yellow flag does, it gives everybody the opportunity to fill their trucks up with fuel to make it to the end of this race. It was going to be a bit of a question mark without this caution, but now everybody's going to come down, top off with fuel, and easily make it to the end.
Well, like I said, I want to see a replay, because if A.F. Walsh did not get into that incident, I think he got lucky, because I could have sworn there may have been, even if it was slight contact, when the 11 was kind of sliding back up after getting turned, that there may have been slight contact between the 11 and the 08. I didn't see anything visually on his truck, but
I think Stevenson also got lucky in the 6. 6 of Stevenson, I think, also got pretty lucky, because he had the jam on the brakes to avoid a big collision, and I think that truck's pretty much unscathed as well, as most of the field here is taking fuel only on their pit stops.
We'll also have to see with that incident, too, what triggered it, because it looked like it may have been, at least initially from what we saw, maybe contact on pit road, the 4 truck sideways there.
Yeah, the 44 of Romashko got tipped around.
44. But it looked to me like it might have been contact between the 11 and the 92 of David Wells. Wells, another title contender.
Yeah, and he entered this race, didn't he, 53 points out of the lead, so he really couldn't afford a day like this. But the majority of the field now taking fuel and getting to the end of the race. I think Zach Fry is actually going to stay on the racetrack here. So here's a look at this. I think it was actually the 43 that came down on the 92. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Oh yeah, and the 11 takes a shot, and he did get into Walsh, but Walsh did a heck of a job to hang on to that truck, keep from hitting the wall there.
And I still think Curtis Stevenson is going to thank his lucky stars that he didn't get involved in this accident more than he perhaps did, because that 6 truck, it looks pretty clean, and so does the 02. I'm curious to see if it is properly clean or not, but that's a good wreck avoidance for both those guys. We're looking at this now from Stevenson just to see what unfolded here.
I think the 43 came down, didn't realize the 92 was still down there.
Oh man, Stevenson actually did a fantastic job slowing down to avoid any damage, so I think the 6 is going to live to fight another day. Quite the opposite of the fate of his teammate, Villalobos, but Stevenson is going to survive and continue on in this race as a result of his heads-up driving.
Yeah, he's got to carry the torch, though, with his teammate being involved in that early incident. He's carrying the torch for that race team, too, so...
So we've got the lights out on the pace car, so we're going to restart this race with 20 laps to go. Everybody's going to be good to go to the end of the race on fuel from here. Reggie Fogelman, still your race leader. Rhodes Gray up into second place. And talk about making the best of a bad situation. Zach Fry had made his pit stop to fix that tire. Before, as the caution was coming out, he stayed out when everyone else pit. He cycled up into the top 5. So yeah,
ready to go. And like I said, we'll keep an eye on the players too. You know, different players. We've seen the shuffling all day, and if we can keep it green for another 20 laps, I'm sure we'll see more players in the mix here. Again, you said it. I think the 0 and the 0-2, again, we'll wait to see if the 0-2 charges back up like he has, but it appears the 0 and the 0-2 seem to be the two guys that can really charge up there and are able to maintain the lead once they get there.
Yeah, them and Saylor in the 08 as well.
Well, that's kind of what I said was the 0 and the 08, but... And I'm interested to see, how about Rhodes Gray? Again, the disappointment of missing out on the playoffs in the very last race before the playoffs began. Got a chance to maybe play spoiler here to the playoff guys and win a playoff race as a non-playoff guy.
We'll see how that plays out, because hopefully this is the final restart of the afternoon. We'll have 20 laps to go when they get to the line. It is Reggie Fogelman out in the lead, and the green flag flying once again. We're racing, and Clayton Sessom in that 82 from 5th place making a move to the outside. He just wants to get some clean air, and he wants to see if anyone will go with him. I think McAlton in the 15 is going to try and go with him.
Yeah, you'll get a couple takers on these restarts. It may not be exactly a pack of guys, but you'll get a couple of takers that'll jump up there and then try to ride with you.
Yeah, and I think Sessom's now backed up to the 15. They're going to try and get a run on the outside, but Brian Grigsby at the tail end of the train, that green truck, he is not having a very good time keeping up with the pack. I fear he might be called for minimum speed at the moment. But Rhodes Gray, we talked about him down on the inside. He's going to try and make a move for the lead, but will he hang on to it by the time they get to the start-finish line?
See, I know we've seen these guys shuffle and everything else, but look at this 5 truck taking a bad break and making the best of it. He is going to lead at the line. And talk about making the best of a bad situation.
Yeah, and look who's right behind him. Blaine Saylor's back in the mix as well in the 08. This 08 truck is probably the best truck in the field, and if he can get back out front, I have a feeling he's going to try and stay there a while, as he's getting a push now from Maverick McAlton in the 15, Wyatt Wilkinson's teammate for that one racing team, and he's getting a push from Justin Whitmer in the 91. Audrey Ansack, who else the fastest lap of the race currently, is now in the bottom lane pushing the 15. I think
we better watch out again. They're 4 wide again, deep in the pack. Again, I see the 61 is one of those trucks in the middle of that 4 wide.
Yeah, and Sessom's the other one.
They're again. We've seen it already go wrong twice. You know, you gotta keep an eye on it.
So far, so good, though, and McAlton takes the lead of the race. Very strong run for the 15. Now we've got the 83 behind him, and Brian Grigsby with another issue. He might have been about to get the black flag, but he's coming down pit road for a separate issue.
Meanwhile, Anzac looks like she's gunning for the lead.
With help from Cal Farrell, maybe Samantha Jade in the 25 as well.
And David Wells, who was just involved in that incident there with the 43, he's running there 3rd.
With a push from Maston Rimmel in the 98. As Grigsby pulls out onto the track, I fear he's going to get black flagged, though, pretty soon, and maybe a few others as well. But for now, Anzac to the point. Wells going to try and slip underneath, but Maston Rimmel's going to take him 3 wide in the turn 1.
Also back into the mix. Here comes that 6 truck of Stevenson. Right there behind Wells.
Yeah, we got a lot of 4 wide now. We got a lot of 4 wide now in this race. And hopefully they settle it amongst themselves, because this is fantastic racing. And I'd love to see this continue to the checkered flag. I think, AF Walsh critically has lost the lead draft with Wyatt Wilkinson. These two, I think, are going to be okay to not get black flagged because they just merely lost the draft. But for guys like Brandon Beal, Alexander Vitale, and Brian Grigsby, their race might be done. And we've got an issue. Now that we cut back to our feed, we've got Samantha Jade got a tire down. She was running at the front of the field for a while, and I'm worrying she might not make it back to the pit lane the rate she's going.
The problem is she's in the grass, I think, is the issue.
Yeah, but now she's pulling up onto the banking, which could be an even bigger problem that with Brian Grigsby on the way to pull out of the race himself. Hopefully they don't come together on their way to the pit lane.
She'll be able to make pit road here. Just make sure, watch out, Brian. Got slow one in front of you. I'm sure the spotter's warning and everything. And again, a change at the lead again. Here's the 77 again. We mentioned him earlier. He's back to the front. The Zero's back up here.
Yeah, that Zero's probably the second best truck here after the 08. And Fogelman, he's in contention surely for his first career win here today.
Again, this track has got a knack and a history for guys showing up that you wouldn't expect and guys winning here that you wouldn't expect. So very well, if you got a chance, you got a chance. If you're in that lead pack, you got a chance.
And meanwhile, this is a small second pack here. I think they got stacked up when Samantha Jade lost that tire, so they were running a few seconds off the lead. And then you have Wilkinson and Walsh running by themselves. But Clayton Sessom here, he's gotten underneath Fogelman to take the lead. Sessom looking for what I believe would be his second career win. David Wells on the bottom, being pushed by his teammate for a moment, DJ Curtis. That 22 snuck his way back into the mix.
Well, not at the moment anymore, as they're now 4 wide behind Sessom. And Curtis has now cleared that 4 wide, but they're 4 wide again, and that's 2 playoff guys there, Whitmore and Wells. You gotta keep your eye here, guys. You don't want to get into trouble here.
I think that those two have settled it out because Fogelman and Di Lorenzo have slipped behind them, which I think is good news for their races. But how about DJ Curtis? We haven't talked about him much today, but he is now leading this race. And he entered this race only 26 points behind the lead. If he has a strong finish here today, he can leapfrog his way to the points lead.
Keep in mind, there's a reason we talk about Curtis. And the fact he always seems to show up at end of races. That's what got him a championship. And here he is again. You know, we're late in this race, 12 to go in this race, and there he is out front. So,
yeah, and we know
not saying he's going to win it, but he's definitely going to probably be a player.
And we know he's on his way to the Nitro National Series next year, along with Paul Villalobos. So this is DJ Curtis's last real chance to shine in the Truck Series, and he's going to make the most of it. He's going to try and go for back-to-back championships, is DJ Curtis if he can. But critically, he's been shuffled up to the top lane for now as Audrey Ansack fights her way back to the lead, and now Stevenson's fought his way into the mix once more in the 6 truck.
Well, it's interesting because we have not had a driver win more than one championship of the Truck Series. Myself, I moved on to the National the year after I won mine. So did Kev Shear after he won his. We've never had a driver win a second truck championship. So Curtis, not only would he be the first to win back-to-back, he'd be the first just in general to win more than one.
But he's going to have to contend with the likes of Stevenson
like I said,
and
the 08 Sailor is just, this truck is unbelievable. I mean, it's like he disappears for a little bit, and then suddenly, like a magician, here he comes. I'm telling you, I honestly think I think you're right. I think this is the best truck in the field right now, this 08.
And now that he's back in the lead, I fear he might want to hang on to it for the remainder of the day. He's got a few single file behind him, like Alexander Rowe, Rhodes Gray, Francois Chastain. Frey's fighting his way back into the top 5, as is Derek Hamill. Joshua Warren in the 88. We haven't seen him out front in a little while, but here comes Rowe.
Rose slid to the inside, tried to cut off that 10 and use the momentum to try to slingshot for the lead, but Gray, no, he wants to try to get the lead himself.
But Rowe cuts him off down in the turn 1, so the 61 is going to be your leader at the line and into turn 1. But I would not be surprised to see that 08 back up to the front of the field before the end of this race. I know we only have 10 laps to go, but this has just been an exhilarating race when we've gotten some green flag running here. They may catch the 25 of Samantha Jade before the end of this race, but that truck should be up to speed once they catch her, and they should be able to pick her up in the pack pretty easily.
little constant cycle going on, but we're seeing kind of the same names here at the front too. So it's not like these guys have not been here all day. It's just a cycle as to who wants to lead this race at this point. And with 9 to go, it's Justin Whitmer now who takes his turn at the front.
And that's a bonus point. He's very much going to want that. As Romashko now dives to the inside for the lead with help from Sessom, Di Lorenzo, and Stephen Myers having a career day in the 54 for the RSAG team. We've got 22 trucks in this lead pack, all of whom think they can win this race, but only one of them can.
It's going to come down, I think, to that late laps. I think honestly you're going to want to be on that inside line in these late laps, be moving forward. And that could be where we see the winner come from. So as we get to these, as the laps tick down, I'm going to be looking at that inside line and who's in it, who's moving forward, because those are going to be your players.
Yeah, but right now we've got a small three-truck breakaway at the front of the field. We've got Sessom, Myers, and Mike White in the 38. He's going to the Nitro National Series next year, is Mike White. And I'm sure he'd love to get a Truck Series win before he moves on. He gets to the inside of Myers now for second spot, and they're just forming a big pack behind. We only have 8 laps to go. Time is of the essence here now.
And that's what I'm saying. You got to start looking at these guys on the inside. I see Chastain's down there. Hamill, I see the 92 of Wells. The 54 drops down now to the inside.
93 is
I think you want to be in that inside. And what I'm looking at crucially is I'm looking to see if there he is. I see Saylor dropping there down to the inside.
He's got help
That's
from
the truck I
Rowe.
want to see. If he can make a move back up here. He's already done it more than once. But can he make the charge at the right time is going to be the question as we come to 7 to go.
Yeah, this is going to be intense from now to the checkered flag. But Sessom holds the lead for the moment. The thing about it is, you don't want to get to the lead too early because, like we've seen multiple times in this race, the shuffling that goes on, if you take the lead too early, you might get shuffled out by the time it matters most.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying it's all going to come down to the timing of. That's where I kind of like where Saylor is right now. You may look at that and say, well, he's fourth on the inside line, but the way the shuffle's been going on, that may be where you want to be. As we'll come to 6 to go this time with the old 1 truck out front.
And Cal Farrell's no stranger to victory lane in the Truck Series. He won at Homestead last year with this team. This team, of course, going away at season's end to be acquired by Crago Autosport, but wouldn't it be great for them to get one last win as an organization? They're coming up on Samantha Jade to put her a lap down. I'm curious how this is going to shape the race, because Stevenson now to the point with a push from the 08 of Saylor, who's back in the mix already.
I would expect Jade to kind of just take the lane that's, in other words, not be on the inside, but we'll see when the pack catches her which way she elects to go, and that could determine who gets an advantage here, depending on where she goes.
The thing I'm focusing on, though, is how quickly will they be able to get her up to speed, and I think they're going to be able to do that pretty fast. So Jade has been picked up by the pack. Saylor now ducks to the inside of her. She'll probably go another lap down, but at least she's now in the pack and able to make moves. Who knows? Maybe she'll have a say in who wins this race as we have 5 laps to go.
And I'm going to say, the big thing she's doing right now, she's kind of take that high lane. Saylor doesn't have a challenge on the high lane right now, and that could be big here with 5 to go.
Could be huge in this race because Saylor's back out in the lead. The question now is, with 4.5 laps to go, can he hold on to it between now and the checkered flag? Because I see Di Lorenzo, I see Curtis, Whitmer's down on the bottom. Those are all really good trucks.
Yeah, a couple of them have been taking their turns at the front. Obviously, we saw the 77, the 22, and the 91, and even the 38 all lead a lap, or at least a lap earlier. So, well, all 4 of those guys have been at the front today, but do they have anything for this 08 with 4 to go?
It's going to be tight, but we've seen time and time again, Blaine Saylor has shown up when it matters most in this race. He's led the most laps today. He's getting command right now, and it's going to take a big effort. I think what Curtis needs to do, he needs to try backing up to the 4 of Mitchell Carter, see if those two can get a run together.
It's going to take a collective effort, I think, from that inside line to make a run to get at this 08.
We got movement further in the back. We've got a crash, and it's the 92 of David Wells. The caution flag's going to fly here, and this could very well end things right here and now.
This very well could be the race. Can Saylor get back here with the point?
Well, he's making his way through the tri-oval right now, and no one's making a move on him. I think this is going to be Plain Sailor's race as the caution flag comes out with 3 laps to go.
Sailor, he's been so close for so long. We'll have to wait, but I believe he may have just gotten his first truck win under yellow here at Dega.
Yeah, but David
Wells. And what a timely
Wells,
win, too, for the championship.
Yeah, and speaking of the championship, David Wells might have just put himself in a deeper hole with that accident. But we'll see. We'll see what happens, because we still have to cycle these final 2.5 laps under caution, because this race is not going to get restarted. There's simply not enough time. The lights would have to go out on the pace car this time by, and he just came out. So I very much doubt we'll get this going again.
But you're absolutely right, because we've seen it before. We've seen it happen at Irwindale. I think it was last year we saw it happen, where the leader of the race under yellow ran into an issue, and the guy running second ends up with the win. So
this is where David Wells was. He was in a 4-wide situation. I think he gets a little too close to Curtis Stevenson and into Samantha Jade. So that's 6 trucks. His luck finally ran out. But for the 92, he just goes sliding down the track, and then he beaches himself on the apron.
And again, the difference between the 92 and the 6 is the 6 looks like he will finish the race. So, and he didn't have to go much further with the damage. So, other than maybe a couple of positions, which again, points can kind of matter, but
could have been a lot worse for
the 6 than what it was.
Yeah, but for the 92, that's definitely going to be, his hopes of winning this race definitely gone. And as for everyone else that isn't Blaine Saylor, because we're surely going to finish this race under the yellow flag. We've got 2 laps to go. The lights are still on the safety vehicle. So yeah, we just need to cycle these last few laps under caution, and Saylor's got this.
And again, I can't say enough about this 08 team. I said a few races ago, I forget if it was earlier in the season, but I thought this team really had the chance to win some races this year, and they've been close. They've been close a couple times this year to have opportunities, and I think today they honestly had the best truck today. We've seen it, the way they were able to surge through the pack, and it was going to be hard to try to get around them here in these late laps. It was going to take a collective effort, and thankfully for Saylor and his team, it looks like that collective effort won't have the opportunity to arise, and as long as everything holds together for another lap and a half, looks like he's looking at that first career truck win.
And how about DJ Curtis right behind him? 2nd place in this race. That's going to be a huge points gain for him. And I did notice AF Walsh all the way down in 29th position. He did not capitalize on the 66's misfortune. So as they run right now, I believe it would be DJ Curtis in the lead of this championship, going to Wilkesboro.
And I said it all season about what this 22 team and Curtis can do. We saw it even last year. Even when you think you can count them out, it's like, oh, they're not going to be a factor. These guys are so much better. He always seems to show up. And again, we didn't talk about it for much of today, and yet he's going to end up second in this race. Crucial when the 2 guys that came in as the top 2 in the championship run into issues. The other guys step up, and you get Saylor and Curtis going to end up 1-2 in this race.
And how about the guys behind them? Mitchell Carter in the 4. He's going to get a career best finish today in this race. If it finishes like this, he'll finish in 3rd. Johnny DiLorenzo, he'll probably get a career best result out of this as well in 4th. Ramashko, I think he's finished higher before, but this will be his best finish, I believe, this season. Mike White with a great run in 6th. Jeremy Frey with a good run in 7th. And how about Stephen Myers with a fantastic day for this tiny little race team that he's a part of? He's going to bring it home in 8th. Rose Gray, he didn't quite get the spoiler run he was hoping for, but he'll bring it home 9th. And Derek Hamill makes it 2 top 10s in 2 Superspeedway races.
So it's not just a play. We talked about the playoff guys for much of today because that is obviously the factor. But yeah, these other guys we talked about said that could show up in a race like this, and we definitely had our fair share of them today. And
Curtis is the only. Curtis and Saylor are the only. Curtis and Saylor are the only 2 playoff guys in the top 10 right now.
Which I obviously said is going to shake up everything because it sounds like that Curtis will be the points leader, leaving this race. So it's going to be fun to watch how these last few races play out the season and see who eventually hosts that trophy at the end of the season.
Well, I think Curtis is definitely going to be the points leader now because look at AF Walsh. It looks like he's got a mechanical issue on the final lap of this race. We said, didn't we, that it's happened before and it's befallen this O2 team. He'll probably only lose 1 or 2 places as a result of this, but that still could be all the difference.
You're exactly right. 1 or 2 points. I mean, we've seen in other series, we've seen that 1 or 2 points can mean the difference in situations. So
that 1 point settled the Nitro title last year.
So these points, giving up these points, it's key that you try to minimize your loss when you have an issue. And granted, I'm actually surprised the O2 is actually just still maintaining the position he's in. I'm sure he'll probably come to the entrance of pit road here, but. Yeah, those 2 positions, who knows? That we could see when we get to Homestead. But meanwhile, as we come through the trioval here.
Yeah, Blaine Saylor, this is his first opportunity with a big team, and he's showing them why he should have been hired by them. This is his moment. Blaine Saylor wins at Talladega for his first career win in the Turbo Truck Series, and I'm sure Team Duke is very proud of the efforts this driver has put in for them in this season, as he has rewarded them with a big win, his first in the trucks.
And I'm sure Blaine a little bit wanted it to be under green, but I'm sure he'll take this one 100% like this, and is going to roll with it. And who knows? Could this be the springboard to really make a run for the championship? They capitalized today. They led the most laps.
And as they
obviously
run
sat on the pole.
As they run right now, he'd be 3rd in the points behind Curtis and Walsh. He'd actually be ahead of Paul Villalobos. And this is now a 4-man race for the championship as we head to North Wilkesboro next week.
This is going to be fun, and I can't wait to be here for the rest of these races and see this play out because all the storylines and possible that could play out for who gets this championship, and it'll be fun to watch. And obviously today was a very fun race. We had 2 incidents, and unfortunately that's what you get with this style of racing. You get the big incidents, but thankfully everybody seems okay from those incidents, and we got some really fun, crazy racing, and it was great to see it all play out. You wish it would have ended under green, but it was still fun nonetheless.
Absolutely, and this is going to come down to the wire, I feel, all the way to the checkered flag at Homestead. We've got that race, we've got Walt Disney World Speedway, but the first stop in our final triple of the season, North Wilkesboro Speedway. It's going to be a lot of fun to see these trucks take on 80 laps out there. We hope you'll join us for North Wilkesboro, because if it's anything like we saw at Talladega, it's going to be a big thrill ride from start to finish. But from Ryan Griffin and from myself as well, thanks for joining us for this really big race at Talladega that we loved from start to finish. Commiserations to those involved in the accidents today, but a big congratulations has to go out to Blaine Saylor. For the first time in his one-up career, he is a winner in the Turbo Truck Series.